Hi there, welcome to today's painting tutorial. Today we are going to paint a black panther with acrylic paints, so grab the sketch in the description below as well as the colors and the brushes that I'm going to be using. And I want to start off with a size 6 flat brush. You can use any large flat brush that you have. And we're going to start with a lighter color. I have some white paint here, so I'm going to start putting that on the canvas. And then I'm going to add some of this white that has some yellow in it. And we'll start putting that in as well. I have a little bit of water sprayed on the canvas. That's just going to help the paint to flow easier. I'm going to continue to put this yellow along with the white in there. And then I'm going to add some of this green, and there's some white underneath that green as well. And I can just start putting that in. Just going back and forth in kind of a zigzag pattern, making almost like X shapes here. And then as we get further out, I'm going to start adding some of this darker green. And I can also continue to add some white in with that, just so it blends and it's not too dark or too intense. And then use some of that lighter green, and you can go on top of the darker green. Allow all of that to blend together nicely. Okay, so just continue that pattern going from light to dark. And then along the way, you can take a blender brush while the paint is still wet and just go back and forth and blend the paint just so you get a nice blended effect. Okay, so I'm going to continue this pattern and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so we completed the background, we let it dry completely, and then we used transfer paper to put the sketch on top, and that is linked in the description below. Now let's start painting in the eyes. I'm going to grab a size 0 round brush. Let's take some of this black paint and then put in the pupil of the eyes. And the eyes are your focal point, so you want to add the most detail and attention to them. I'm going to grab another 0 round brush and then pick up some of this burnt sienna color. And let's bring that around the outside edge of the eyes. Trying not to touch the black paint because I want this to be bright. And then I'm going to pick up some of this yellow paint. Bring some of that yellow in there. And then around the pupil, I want it to be this bright, vibrant green. So I'm going to put that in there very carefully. We'll add this section. And then I'm going to pick up a small amount of white paint and put a highlight along the bottom. And that'll create a glowing effect for the eyes. I'm going to switch back to that other brush and pick up some of this dark brown and then go around the outside edge of the eyes. And I'm going to try to go around that very carefully. You don't want to distort the shape. And you can turn your canvas if you want so that you can get an easier angle. I'm going to continue to grab this dark brown and carefully go around those eyes. And let's let that dry and then look at the nose area. So I'll pick up some black paint. I'm going to go in the nostril. And then you can curve it out this way. And then take some of that paint and bring it down. And then around the mouth section. I'm going to pick up a small amount of water on my brush just so that my paint flows a little bit easier. And then I want to come up along this nose. And then you can add a line down the center. And then go around this section for outlining. And let's connect the bottom of the nose with the mouth. Okay, and for the nose color, I'm going to add some of this purple. Let's see how that looks if we put the purple in there. Just feathering it in. It's going to mix with that black and create almost a gray color. Bring it along this section. And then you could put a small amount of this along the mouth as well. And now we want to work one section at a time. I'm going to grab my size 1 dome brush and let's do the mouth area first. So I'm going to take some black paint and I want to outline the main sections of the mouth. With that black paint, and that black is so intense. Okay, and then I want a lighter value, so I'm going to pick up some of this dark brown. Let's start putting that brown in. That's going to give us a nice variety of color. It's not as intense as that black, so it's going to help us build form and shape. And then I'm going to pick up some gray and feather that gray in next. Trying to cover up all the colors in the background. Bring that gray in on the other side. Okay, so now let's look at the nose, and we're going to start with the dark color. Bring that along either side of the nose. I'm going to add a little more black. Then I'm going to use this dark brown or burnt umber. Could even bring it along almost like a curved shape right up here for the bridge of the nose. And then I'll get lighter, so I'll take that light gray color and bring that in. We'll come along the top of the nose carefully. Okay, and now let's think of the rest of the face. So I might switch to a larger brush for that. I'm going to take this small dome brush and let's start adding in some black. So I'm going to use the black and go along the top. And let's bring it under the ear and then along this section. So it's always good to try to break your painting up into sections and then do it section by section, and that can prevent a lot of confusion. just make things a little bit easier. So I'm using this dark brown. And then you can put some black and almost like a triangle shape right there. And then take some lighter paint. We could use the gray. And then bring that in. Fill in this area. Okay, and then we can do this section right here. So I'm thinking about where are these dark values and where are the values a little bit lighter. I'm going to put this dark color here. We're using that same pattern coming in with the lighter brown. And then a lighter value is going to be that gray, so we'll put that in. Okay, and then let's do this section over here. So I'm using that black. Thinking about where those dark values are. And then use the lighter values. I'm going to use the gray. Come underneath the eye. And then while the paint is still a little bit wet, I'm going to take some of this light blue color and start putting in some of these highlights. You can come along this edge and underneath this section here, above the eye, just starting to put in some of these lighter values. We have some up here around this eye. And then along the bridge of the nose, we have a light value. We want that to come forward in space. Then along the bottom of the chin and along this section of the mouth as well. And then along the head, we could put some over on this area. Then add a few little highlights. Okay, and you can go back and softly blend any of those sections that you need to. I'm going to use this same brush to put in the ears. So we'll take some black paint, go into the center, and then around the outside edge. Do that to this section. And then I'll take some gray paint and feather that in. And then with a size 1 brush, I'll take some of the light blue and put a bit of a highlight there. We'll come along this edge and put a highlight there as well. Now I'm going to paint the neck area, so I'll take some black paint and bring that down. Can bring some over here. And then pick up some gray. Start feathering that down with the gray. And this is pretty loose, so you don't need to add a lot of attention to that. You can almost make it curve into that background. Have a nice loose painterly look. And then I'm going to pick up some of this light blue and add a bit of a highlight down there. Okay, so let's let this layer dry completely and then we'll come back and refine and add some details. I'm going to look at the nose section. I'm going to take some of this white paint, a small amount of the purplish gray, and let's start working on the nose. Just need another smooth layer here. And now I'm going to look at this section around the eyes. I'm going to take a size 0 round brush and some white paint. Be a little bit of this grayish blue as well. Then let's see if we can go around the eyes, making a eyelid underneath. And then an eyelid above the top. Then let's do that for the other side. So underneath the eye. I'm going to make a curved lid there. Then I'm going to come above this eye. I'm going to come a little bit more around this edge. And then let's switch to a small blender brush and use some of this light paint. Let's see if we can add a bit of a highlight under that eye and blend it. Okay, and then above this one, then down this way. And then I'm going to add some more highlight above this nose. And also around the nostril. So let's come up this way and go around the nostril. Then we'll do that to the left side. I'm going to take this size 1 round brush and add some dark brown paint. Let's go above this eye and see if we can add a bit of a shadow along the tops of these eyes. And then I want to add the highlight. So we'll take a really small amount of white paint and then just highlight the pupil. Putting 3 little small dots. And with this small blender brush, I'm going to take some black paint. And I'm going to start making little spots. And I'm just putting these around the head area. Can come around this section. Try to make them random and different sizes as well. I need a little more shadow here, so I may add another layer of shadow. Okay, you can go back and add more shadows in certain sections that you need to. Just continue to refine the face. Add a little more dark here. Okay, and then I'm going to use a lighter one dome brush that has some lighter paint on it. And let's bring this down to create that really nice highlight here. You might have to go over your highlights multiple times. A lot of times they can just disappear, so you need to go back and reinstate them. Now I'm going to take a size 2/0 round brush and let's put in some whiskers. I'm going to roll that in the white paint and I want to put these in really subtly. Be really careful not to overdo it. And let's put some above the eyebrow. We'll do it over this section. And then for the whiskers and the mouth, you can take a 1 dome brush, some black paint, put a few little marks for where your whiskers come out of. You want them to be pretty small. And then take that liner brush and then bring the whiskers out. And now I'm going to take this small blender brush and I'm going to take some of this light green paint and I just want to put some marks over here, almost looking like leaves or foliage. Just put a few of those along the bottom. And I'm going to come back and straighten up the mouth with some black paint. You want to step back and look at your work. See if everything looks symmetrical. See if there's any adjustments that you need to make. And I'm also going to take this liner brush, roll it in some black paint, and then come along the nose and add a line in the center. Okay, and I think we will call this painting complete. So that is how you can paint a black panther with acrylic paints. I hope you give this a try. Like and subscribe for more painting tutorials. If you want to learn even more about painting and improve your skills quickly, grab my free guide in the description below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!